Hey there, welcome back to the exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year Magical Learning Podcast, and we are back on this second part reflection of Annie Duke's book, Quit, The Power of Knowing When to Walk Away.
Yep,
And, 350, Yomo
let's do it.
350.
We're at 350. We just passed the mile mark of 25 yesterday on our Yomo marathon. Uh, so
For
today's
you,
lesson for me.
for
No,
you.
it's
For
it's
me,
adult.
it's like
It's
I'm
adult for
basically
me.
the guy on a motorbike or on a car, just
No, you're Forrest Gump.
driving,
It's
driving
you're,
around, say, hey, you need some water, man.
no, you're Forrest Gump. You seen that movie, right?
Yeah, what got me? Yeah.
But
What
he's like,
about
I
it?
just started running, man. And he's like, what are you doing this for? And you're like, I don't know. I
I
just
don't know.
like running, and
I
like
just
then he
felt like
gets.
running. I just felt like it.
That's funny. All right. So today's reflection is part two, and it's about expected value. So as the title says, this book's about quitting and the power of quitting and knowing when to walk away. And we talked yesterday about my background of poker, right? So I mean, I
Mhm.
there's probably only two activities that I've ever done in my life that I've the outside of like my professional career, well, I guess three now with pickleball, that I could definitely say that I was really good at, and also it was something that was a red thread for me, right? Like it was something that I craved, like this is an activity that I loved to do, right? That would be in my life. This is before writing and
Mhm.
other things came along, right, in the past few years, but it would have been tennis, pickleball, and poker. Particularly no Hold'em, Texas Hold'em, right? So like I don't love like you know 5 card stud or some whatever all the other poker games. Like I've played a lot of different games. I'm not like a big into like any other card games or anything. It's just no limit hold'em. So that was my I could play this game, I don't know, 36 hours straight. I would sit in my room. I remember this one time when I was in college. I would no joke. I came I was out with my friends, and came back from the bars or whatever at, like, I was like a senior in college. I was living in my apartment,
Mhm.
because you only ever usually move into like an apartment when you're in a fraternity after you get to be like a senior. Usually you live in the house sophomore and junior year, and then your senior year you move out with your fraternity, the older brothers, and you don't go over to the house as much, and you just go out to the bars, you have fun, right? Well, I remember we went out to the bars this night. We lived right across the street from like the main Chauncey Hill district, which is like the
Mhm.
bar district at Purdue, and it's like 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning, whenever the hell I got home. I don't remember. I think I went home before like all my roommates and stuff. So I got home, and I was like, I just put on that was back when we had these big sound machines. I'm sure you remember, like, the big ones where you had like the big receivers, you had like,
Mhm.
sitting on
Mhm.
top of your,
Yeah.
so I think I plugged my Rio iPod into the no, it was probably on my laptop. I probably had iTunes on my laptop or something. I plugged in my gigantic laptop and my gigantic, into my gigantic receiver over there, and I just started playing music and put my hood up, had a bottle of wine sitting next to me, and I just started playing poker. And I remember
Mhm.
my girlfriend, who's now my wife, we had just started dating at that time, right? Like, literally we had been dating for like a few months. And she texted me and she was like, "Hey, I want to, come over and hang out. If do you want to come over and hang out like late at night or whatever?" I'm like, "Sure, come on over." So she walks into the room. The room is completely dark. I have my hood over the hood up. I got like a bottle of wine over here, and I'm just just going to fucking town on my laptop. And she's like, "What the fuck is happening?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, you probably don't want to be here right now, honestly. Like, you should probably anyway. So it was, this is how I was. Like, I could I made my living off of this, honestly. Like, I no joke. In the summer times when I would have like internships, I mean, I would have, one of my internship was up in Chicago, and every night, because I was away from home, every night
Mhm.
after work was over, actually I was staying at this place called Carthage College, which is like right on Lake Michigan, and they didn't have, for whatever reason, they didn't. This is so old. They didn't have Wi-Fi or an Ethernet hookup in the room, in the dorm room. So I had to go to like this little campus lounge that was open 24 hours or whatever. I was the only person in there because it was the summertime because I was in an internship. I was the only person in there, and I'm just fucking finding internet somewhere that I can just play poker all night long by myself. And then I would wake up, I'd go to bed for like 2 hours, wake up and go, go to work the next day. And that was how I actually made my money. I was like, I don't make enough money in this internship to actually do anything. So, I need to make 500-600 bucks a night playing poker, and then I'll, go to work the next day and make, you know, $80 or something. You know what I mean? Like I was like, yeah, like, it was for working for the whole day kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
The So anyway, this is like poker to me, right? I mean, I told you all yesterday, like I was playing with my friends, like not just playing. It wasn't just like for fun. It was like we were like competitive with like poker, watching
Mm.
all the movies, all the World Series of Poker stuff, like idolizing the Johnny Chans, the Howard Letterers, the Phil
Johnny
Helmies,
fucking Chan.
Johnny fucking Chan, man. Oh, I gotta pull up that clip. I should say Rounders. He's beaten. He doesn't even know it yet. uh, it's. I'm not gonna play this whole clip, but it's fine. I won't bore you with this. All right. But it's Johnny fucking Chan. So like, I was into this, right? So I'm setting the stage to say like this was something that was important to me. There was a point in time, I think when I was probably about like 23 years old and I just graduated from college and I was working at my first job out of school where I was like, I really, I used to go to the casino at that point in time all the time now. There was a casino because in Indiana, we're like we're like a weird religious state. Like you could even buy alcohol on Sundays in Indiana for like my entire life. They finally just opened that up.
Mhm.
There was a law that said like you can't, like all liquor stores are closed. They would rope off all the aisles in the grocery stores, or whatever. Like you could buy liquor, right, or alcohol, any alcohol, on Sundays, right? Also casinos were illegal. So the only casinos that were in Indiana were either right on the Michigan border on northern Indiana, where they would allow it, or they were up near Chicago or down near Louisville, or sorry, Cincinnati on the rivers. They allowed river boats, right? So you could
Mhm.
either go down to the Ohio River and like the Cincinnati area, and you'd have
Mhm.
to make a whole day trip down there and drive 2.5 hours, or you'd have to drive 2.5 hours north if you were living in Indianapolis up to Chicago, and you'd have to go out on the Lake Michigan. That's where these boats are. They just park these boats right off of Lake Michigan, and that was the casinos. That's the casinos in Indiana. That was where you had choices to. Well, when I graduated from school, I lived up in South Bend, Indiana, which is right on the Michigan-Indiana border, up
Mhm.
in the northern Indiana, and there was a casino that opened up, and on the Michigan side of the border, about 30 minutes away from my from South Bend. And I was like, oh, well, that's awesome. I can go to a casino anytime I want to now, right? So that was my gambling of choice. I would just go to the casino, whatever, blah 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 blah. So there was a time when I literally seriously considered like I think I should just maybe try to go play poker for a living. I think it'd be kind of cool to go move to Vegas or go do whatever and just go try to make this a living, right?
Mhm.
And I really wanted to. But I didn't, and here's why. I started this reflection off by saying, why is quitting so damn hard? Because we want to know, and it's not just that we want to know; it's that we must know, right? Like, I mean, I can't quit something when there's something in my brain that I think that I want to know the answer to. It's like reading a story and you get to the conclusion and you're like, well, sorry. And you're like, what do you mean sorry? You can't tell me no, you can't just build all this thing up and then not tell me that I'm either right or wrong or what I thought was right, or I got to know the ending, right? Like
Mhm.
you can't just, like, that's not how our brains work. We are compelled to want to know. It takes a whole lot of self willpower and a whole lot of training and restraint, to buck that urge in you, right? So this was my poker kryptonite. I was too young. I did not know myself. Did not understand why I was playing. Did not understand why this is a red thread. And that urge to know was just too much for me to overcome. I would find myself in these hands all the time where I'm like, I'm pretty sure that I'm wrong. Actually, I'm if you gave me a confidence, like, give me a scale 1 to 100 of oftentimes I'd be like, I'm 79.5% sure that I'm wrong. But I was like, but maybe I'm right, and I'm like, I gotta know, right? And then you ever heard of the saying full tilt?
I heard you say that before.
So when you go on tilt, that's when
Went
you
too
tip.
much.
Yeah, you tip. You tip. Your emotions tip, and it just is just. It's like you just went down a water slide and you just it's gone. I mean, like when you're on full tilt, like that you like you're just it's just you're just unraveling in front of people's eyes, right? Like this is what people just blow up in games, right? Like they take a couple bad beats, they're throwing their hands up everywhere. The worst
Like the
part about
Dallas Cowboy fans.
like the Dallas, that's exactly they are on full tilt right now. I mean,
Yes,
I'm sure
they are.
they're just they're
Oh,
every excuse in the world. Like everybody they come around, they got to tell them about their all the bad shit that happened to them. Oh my God, I took the worst bad beat you've ever heard. Like you'll never be more bored in your life as a non-poker player than trying to talk to a poker player and saying, tell me about your worst bad beat you've ever had. Oh my God. Like nobody remembers their biggest wins. They'll be like, yeah, so I bet this and this guy bet this, and they'll tell you every position of everybody in the seat, where they are, what their betting strategies were, what they did, what their mother's name was, what their, 2-year-old infant child's, favorite, cartoon is. They'll know every detail of the bad beats that they've happened in their life, right? But they'll never ever remember the good stuff. And that's just like how poker players operate, right? And when these
mm,
bad beats happen, and when you just got to know, and you call a bluff, or you get too deep into a hand and you just can't let go. I mean, honestly, it's like you just can't walk away, and then all of a sudden you're on full tilt, right? Well, that was me. That was me. Like this is it would go from an activity that was a red thread that was giving me all kinds of energy that I would love it. It was almost too much energy. My I would get like shaky and jittery, and my heart would be. It felt like I was gonna have a fucking heart attack when I would like get
mhm.
into like deep into hands. I was just like, oh my God, this is like the adrenaline flowing, pumping. You're just like, rah, like, I mean, you just like, I mean, it's just fucking awesome. You win a big hand and you just want to like go punch every wall and jump up and scream. And, I mean, it was insanely intense, right? But the swings were just too much for me to take. And I like, and then you'd go down these rabbit holes and I just couldn't take it. So I would love to tell you, this was about when I was about 25 years old. I quit playing poker, and I'd love to tell you there was some like uh atomic bomb event or something that happened. I hit rock bottom. I was uh on the street corner peddling for cash, stealing money from my mom and dad. And I was scrounging in a Vegas back room, given working at a strip club for what I mean. I'd love to tell you there was some magical story that was like why I quit playing poker and how this all came to be. There's not. I don't actually know exactly what it was. I know that I felt horrible. Like every day after I would play these games and I would go on tilt and I would have even the days that I won big, like I just didn't feel good afterwards. It was like I felt gross. I felt icky. Like I don't know how to describe it. I just other than those words, but I just felt fucking gross. I felt like I was doing something wrong and I knew it. I was like, this isn't who I want to be, and this isn't how I want to live my life, and I can't control it. And I like that my friends would see me gambling and they're like, I'm scared of you. Like, and like, yeah, they should be. Like, because I'm like, I'm like, I was like a horse with blinders on. I was like, get the fuck away from me and like don't talk to me. And like I'm in my zone and I do not want to see you. It's probably like you with coding or something like that. It's like who this mad genius over here doing whatever he's doing, right? So there was no major event. I just did not like how I felt, and I was like, I'm done with this. So I stopped gambling altogether, 100%. I don't gamble on sports. I don't gamble on roulette tables, blackjack. I don't go to casinos anymore. Like I just stopped. And there's been a couple times it's pulled me back in, through the past 13 years. The last time I ever gambled, I'm 39 years old right now. The last time I ever remember gambling at all was at one of my closest friend's 30th birthdays, who's a year older than me. So I would have been 29. So it's a full decade ago now. And I remember that night, it'd been like 3 years or 4 years since I'd stopped gambling. And I was like, I think I'm good now. I can handle this. Like, I was like, I could do this. We're just all having fun. We're at a casino. We're down at the boats and in Cincinnati, and I'm like, I could do this. I just take
Mhm.
$250 out or something like that, and just call it entertainment for the night. Like I was like, that's my mindset. We're just having fun. This is just fun money. Like who cares? Like not a big deal, right? Like, do you know what happened?
No.
Take a guess. You're with a group of friends. You're just having fun. Everybody's joking, having drinks. Like maybe a couple of them won a couple $100, whatever. Right? It's around 1 a.m. and everybody's like, all
It's
right, I
like,
think
what the heck not?
right. So I would think I was up like $300 or something like that, and
Uh,
it was around like 1 a.m. and everybody was
mm,
like, I'm going to bed, and I'm ready for bed. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, let's go. As we're walking down the hall from the casino to the hotel, I remember I looked at my wife Felicia, and I was like, I want to go back, and she was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I can handle this. I'm not ready to go to bed. I was like, I can handle this. She's like, okay. So everybody else keeps walking, the whole party, and I go back to the casino. I roll into the room at almost like 8 o'clock
mhm,
in
mhm.
a.m. in the morning. She's dead asleep, and I had just lost $2,500. And I was like, what the fuck? What just fucking happened? I'm like, I didn't even care because it wasn't like but I was like, that's it. That was it. That was it. I was like, I'm done. I literally cannot gamble. Like, I just cannot ever do it ever again. Right. Like, so that was the absolute last time that I've ever bet anything, gambled anything, done anything that was at a casino,
Mhm.
online, whatever, doesn't matter. That was the absolute last time, right? So that was it. That's my gambling story. So what this all has to do with Annie Duke's quitting, right? The power of quitting and knowing when to walk away. She talked about this thing called expected value, right? You know, what the action that you do and the value you expect to get out of it. For me, poker, the expected value was negative. Every single time, in retrospect, every single time that I played poker, I expected to feel like I felt that last time that I was just describing to you, where I'm walking into a hotel room at 8 a.m. in the morning with my tail between my legs, going, I don't know why I can't stop doing this, like, and like I knew that was going to happen. I couldn't stop myself, right? So today, these days with Yomel, this is full circle here with the whole expected value conversation. I have two criteria today. My life is so much easier to decide when to quit or when to stick with something in the expected value conversation. It's very simple. I have these two simple questions I ask myself. One, does my immediate next action help further my connection between my daughter and living a life of values together and our shared purpose of living for two? Answer to that question is check. Okay, we can go to the next question two. Question two is, does my immediate next action help me take another step toward fulfilling my life's mission of helping others to live a meaningful, a balanced life of meaningful work and meaningful relationships? And if neither one of those answers are yes, then I don't do it. Like, I mean, it's not even an option. Like, and gambling does not fit into either one of those equations, right? Like, so like I know exactly why I quit gambling now. Like, but when I was 25, had no idea, right? Like, I mean, I don't the expected value of my next action. I know if I do if I can answer yes to these two questions, I am almost guaranteed to know the expected value of that next action that I take is worth it, to me and what I care about most in this world. I did not understand that when I was younger, and now that I do, like, this is when to quit and when to not quit, right? Like, I mean, this is criteria to use. If you're doing something that doesn't align to things that matter to you, it's time to quit. Like, it just is. Like, I mean, there's not even a debate, right? Like I used to debate all the time. Should I gamble again? Should I not? Should I do this? Should I not? And I'm like, now it's just no, not even. It's not even an option. Anyway, yeah, love to get your thoughts.
So I guess I think we need to have to introduce another concept here. Another concept would be the fake red thread,
Oh,
right?
yes,
Because the
yeah,
thing is, when we say the red thread is something that like draws you in, but there's certain, like you say, to kind of understand what you're saying in terms of expected value is, to me, if something is meant for you to align with you, right? If it aligns with you, you should be feeling better than when you first started, not
yep,
worse.
yep,
Because if you're feeling worse, something is taken out of you, not putting
yep.
in, and not adding to you. And I think that is the difference. Just like as if you're being, I guess, completely being like in a way you see something that it looks like a red thread, but it just mimic a red thread to get you.
Yep.
So I'll call that a fake red thread or whatever you want to term
Like
it.
like
But
like smoking cigarettes is, I mean, like you clearly like it, you're clearly addicted to it, you clearly smoke
and
20 times a day.
you need to quit, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with like drinking too much or um doing the drugs, the
Working too
cocaine.
much.
You know you shouldn't,
Right.
but you're still doing it because you're in it, and you think that this is a red thread,
Mhm.
but in actuality it's just a basically a bait. It's really a bait, right? Versus
Yeah, it
because
is. Yeah.
you think about it, and you put down a great point. Is for question one, question two is essentially you have a certain core values that you hold, and for you, your core values is living for two and meaningful work and meaningful relationship. For others, it could be different, but they all goes down the same process. Is thus playing poker brings value that aligns to what I value most, my core values. Because, for example, if I ask you, okay, playing poker, what do you hope to achieve?
I don't know. It's a thrill. It's a
Exactly,
rush. It's
exactly.
I
Because
don't
there
know.
is not there is not a an alignment with who you want to be as
Right.
a person. And every time you play, right, you forget about yourself. But after you get out of it, you say, "Oh, I should not have done that. I should not. What have I done? What have I done?" So you feel you feeling this something is taken away from your soul. So you
Yeah.
think about it. You think about
Oh yeah. It was
that
horrible. I
that
mean, it was
that
horrible.
feels
I,
very bad, right?
I
You feel so ashamed of yourself for doing it, and you know that is a you have been sucked into a bait, just like a fish, biting to bait and getting hooked onto the fishing hook. And once they hook you, right, that is when you are suffering.
I wish I could show you right now the scenes that are playing over in my head that I'm thinking about, and
Hmm.
from my life of how gambling, how many times poker did this to me. I mean, I just vividly can see it in my head. The one the other time, the time that comes to memory is, I've told you about my friend Adam, the one that was a former like meth addict that I
Hmm.
moved in with me up in South Bend. Well, he didn't have any money. He was living with me in South Bend. He had no money. He had nothing. He had no job. Like, whatever. He was just recovering from addiction, right? And he was like, I asked him, hey, do you want to go to the casino with me tonight? Like, just hang out. He's like, yeah, I don't really have any money, but like, sure, I can go. I mean, and I was like, I'll give you like a little bit of money to play around with, and like, fine. This guy who's seen everything in the fucking world that you could probably ever see, has been lived on the street corner, like been around some of the seediest fucking people you've ever seen, like has known me since I was 5 years old, was like told me the next day after that, he was just sitting in the corner waiting because I drove, right. He
Hmm.
was just sitting in the corner waiting for me until like 3 a.m. in the morning one night, that I was there, and he was like, I don't I he was like, you are terrifying me. Like, he was like, you have a fucking problem, and I'm like, fuck you, get out of here, like get away from me, and I'm like, just like leave me alone. Like, this is what I mean, I mean, I can vividly remember that. Like, if he's telling me I have a problem, like, that's saying something,
That's
right?
sound
Like,
that's saying a lot. I
right,
mean,
yeah,
I mean, if he said, "Hey, I don't want to touch this thing," right? After
right,
all that I have seen, all I've gone through,
right.
and you're touching it, right? You're not Chris. I think these things like these baits, right? It's really take away a person because
Yeah,
you're normally not that kind of an asshole,
no,
Fuck away.
no,
I mean, you're not. But the thing is, when you bite into this fake red threads, right? Red threads are great, but they could be a fake one because it's just
right,
shrouding your senses, and it draws you in for the kill. Is the thing that I can say is, if you find yourself doing something and you feel bad at any moment afterward, it's probably a bait. So you
agreed.
will need to figure it out. Okay, go through the process of um, using your compass, your core values, and ask yourself the question. Does it align with what I hold
Right.
dear to me, And that's to me is what separate yourself from like we want to find a red thread, but sometimes you're gonna have these fake red threads that will confuse you, and a lot of people do, and they think, hey, because if you don't have really a point of reference
We need
to
color. We need color. You need a fake red thread is what is a black thread.
it's a black thread covered in paint.
A black thread. Okay, a black. How about it's like a maroon?
No,
Yeah.
I like maroon.
Well, you need a name. Give a name to your fake red thread. You need another color that's like yeah. Anyway,
Fred. How
yeah.
about Fred?
Fred. It's a Fred thread.
Fred thread. It's a Fred thread. Yeah, it's a Fred thread because,
Right.
like I say, you're gonna have like if you think about it, if gambling or doing something that isn't aligned with your core values and it makes you feel worse and worse and worse, it's taking away from you something. Your soul, I don't know what it is, it's taking away something from you, your soul, your physical, mental health, physical health, all that stuff. I mean, even take away your personality. You completely become a different person. And
yeah.
that's not good. You are giving away something for what? What are you trying to get in return?
I want the answers. I want the answers. I want to know that I was right. Like, I mean, that was I think what the
But
biggest draw.
is that aligned with the core values that you hold?
No, not at all. No, I mean, like, actually, if anything, it's ironic. It's one of my core values is I don't know anything, right? Like, I should be happy going, well, I don't know. What did he have that? Well, maybe I'll just go think about that all night long. Let me replay that in my head, or something like that. In the moment, though, I'm like, I gotta know. I have
But
the
at
ability
what
to know.
cost? At what cost? So, but my point is going back to what we're saying. What we encourage in company is to explore these red threads. But at the same time, you don't want to go down to be really just one rabbit hole to oblivion. I mean,
Right.
there is a rabbit hole that will put you in a trap. And once you get there, right, you completely lose yourself. You don't know who you are anymore because you're not that person. And when you went in too deep, right, you use the same method that got you into the mess to try to get out. You know what I mean, right? When you lose, what you do?
Go deeper.
When you lose a lot of money, you double down.
Oh, it was even worse. Like, I wouldn't just double down. I'd be like, well, now it's fucking gone, so I don't even care. Now I got to go. Like the feeling, like you want to talk about like psychological manipulation. If I sat down at a table with $200 and I was up and I found myself at one point in the night up $4,000, I would be like, well, that's not enough. If I lost $400 of that $4,000, I would have gone, oh my God, I was just at $4,000. Now I'm at 400. And I was like, shit, I just lost $400. I got to get that back. And then all of a sudden, the next hand I lose another 250. Now I'm down to like, 3250 or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I just lost $850 in two fucking hands. And I'm like, I'm gonna press, a little bit. I'm gonna get in a few more hands, see if I can, get lucky here or something like that. And, maybe bluff in a few hands, maybe it works a couple times. Then all of a sudden now you're down to 2,000. You're like, oh my God, I just lost $2,000. You're like, and then before you know it, you're down $2,000 and you're like, what the fuck? And then when you get down $2,000, you just go, well, I don't fucking care anymore. I mean, at this point in time, I'm just gonna keep going deep. I already went this deep, and I just keep going deeper, right? And then you just keep going, and like, I mean,
it never ends until there's nothing left of you.
Never. It never ends. This is called going on tilt, right? Like, this is you're like a real poker player that would you remember that book a long time ago that we talked about, The Biggest Bluff, Maria Konnikova, and it was Less Certainty, More Inquiry by Eric Seidel is one of those like really famous poker players that she was her mentor in this whole entire process, and he's like a poker legend, right? He would tell her, less certainty, more inquiry, right? And that's how that's one of his values. That's what he cares about, right? Clearly, right? It's and leaning in and if I knew my values back then, like I would have been able to lean on that and go, well, Chris, you don't know anything, and that's okay, right? Like, I mean, like maybe they were bluffing, maybe they weren't. It's okay. Keep find more scenarios, see what happens, get some more data points, walk away from the game and come back another day when you could, like, and it's fine. You're still up $2,000 or whatever. Just walk away. Like, it's not a big deal. Like I just could not, I did not have that mental understanding of my emotions at that age and at that time of my life to be able to withstand the wild swings that is poker. Now, like, no joke, I think I could go back today knowing what I know now about emotions and how we think and how I feel. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be any better in the scenario, but at least I'll know and I'll be able to recognize faster. But that doesn't mean that I should be doing the activity in the first place, right? But like
Right, it doesn't align with your core values,
no.
even though it's something that is drawn. But the point I'm trying to make is I think there is something in life that universally is always draws the weakness out of human beings. It exploits our human weakness. The adrenaline or the need to know, for example, it's a weakness. It's a strength, but it's also a weakness because somebody can exploit that and say, well, you want to be engaged, you want to be know, you want to be like social media, for example. It's also a drug because
Oh yeah.
you need some validation
Right.
from I don't know. I don't even know. I don't. People don't even care who validates you. I saw somebody validates you,
That's
right?
true.
And to me, that is I guess a human instinct, a human strength, but it's also a weakness that somebody has found a way to exploit. And
Yeah.
poker is one of those things where it creates the psychological exploitations,
All
and
day.
it makes you think you are chasing a red thread, but in reality, it's just in disguise. It's just a thread.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
threat. I like that.
I
I like
use
that.
it in a sentence.
Yeah, that's it. I like that a lot because you're right. Like the expected value, you know, of when I would sit down and play poker was I'm gonna have a fun time. Like I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna get in my element. I love being around these people. I love being in this environment. I love reading the card. I love playing the game. I would tell myself all these great things that it was gonna be. This is how this session's gonna go today. And then by the end of it, it felt the same every single time. It was like even when I won, I didn't feel good. I was like, oh, I could have won more, but I don't know why I'm walking away now. Like I could
Right,
have done better.
and sometimes we just don't have the core values aligned with it. Like for me, I don't gamble at all. I mean, I don't gamble even in slot machine. My wife likes to have fun and say, hey, just put some money down and say, well,
Right.
I don't. I mean, here I just found a quarter lying on the on the floor of the casino, and here's a slot. All you do is just
Right.
pick it up and put it in slot. Even I don't do that. Say, well, what am I getting out of it, right? For one,
Nothing.
it's like
Yeah.
if I win, well, I win a couple $1,000. Okay, not a big deal. I mean,
It's really not. It's not that much. I mean, it's
I
not
mean,
that much money. I
if
mean, like
I win the jackpot, if I put like a dime in there and I win a jackpot on that machine, it's a couple $1,000. Like,
right.
so who really cares, right? It's not a big deal. So, I mean,
It was when I was 23. A couple thousand dollars is a
like you
lot when I was
say,
23.
there is certain mentality that aligns or doesn't align. For me, it's like, well, it doesn't thrill me that much. The
Right.
expected value, what am I getting out of it? I don't see it. Therefore, I don't play it. I mean, I don't know if I can. Like I said, I don't have a desire to play.
Right.
Right, the poker, and I'm probably addicted to something else. But that's me as true. You as a Chris is addicted to maybe the adrenaline or the need to know, whatever that is that draws you in. But these are exploitations of a human weakness, a
Yep.
human strength, but it's also a weakness because they exploit your innate need to, like you say, validations, explorations, and whatever that is, to be to be accepted, to be social, to be to be cool, to be whatever. I mean, there is a certain, I guess, like animal instinct that we have developed over so many years that it becomes part of our psychological profile that we just can't run away. I mean, the ability, like you know our our feel of our pain of loss is actually greater than what is it, the reward. Like you win $100, right? It doesn't feel as good as in terms of the level, right? If you lose $100 or win $100, right?
Right.
The losing $100, it pains you so much more than winning back $100.
Agreed.
And so
It's
that is part of our human psychological that we inherit from our ancestors, and we have been exploited by this threat. And so we have to be really careful with the threat of life.
Yeah, you're so right. Like, I mean, God, man, even just having this conversation makes me want to. I mean, like, I so badly. I mean, I love like,
Hmm.
you hear me talking about like Eric Seidel and Daniel Negreanu and Doyle Brunson, Johnny Chan. I mean, watching these guys playing the game, like I did really like. I so badly wanted to be. I wanted to make this something that aligned to who I was. I mean I really wanted to, and it just didn't. Like, I mean, like that's the truth is it's I should have known it. I should have known it.
Well, I don't think it's easy to know that, because, like I said, when you growing up, it's not like people have been training you to think for yourself,
Hmm,
to help you find your core values and find who you
right.
are, blah blah blah. They tell you some things that is not relevant to you, and when you grow up, you have no idea. You're completely a newbie at these things, and like I say, it's your circumstances that create this opportunity for you to slide into this thread. This thread allows to this cast its reels and start to wiggle
Yep.
the thread in front of you, and you make you want to bite. And when you
Man,
bite, right, you feel the pain of the sting of the hook.
it's 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 just fucking wild, like to think, because you're right. Like it's a couple $1,000s. Who cares, Like, I mean, but for me, when I was 23 years old, like, and you had $1,200 in your bank account, and all of a sudden the next night you have, $5,000 in your bank account. Like, I mean, that's a lot. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
but
that's
like I said,
like,
that's human. That's a human psyche, right? We for whatever reason want that validations,
right.
and one of the way to validate ourselves is either through the power of money, because we all agree, because you and I both know, like, the dollar bill doesn't worth anything unless you and I agree it's worth something,
Yeah.
right? But because you have the dollar bill, it represents validations of other human beings that validates you. Same thing with you and everybody on social media, as people go on there and they like your picture or your video or your comment or whatever. You feel good. It's a validation engine. So money is the oldest form of validation. And when you have $1,200 and then you have $5,000 or whatever, it's a validation. But eventually, you get to the point where let's say you have $1 million and $1 billion. It's more validation, more validation. You get to the point where that's continue to get more and more and more, and you want more and
Right.
more of it, right?
Right.
It's a human. It's designed of human psychology, but it's a strength, but also a weakness, because we want to become better and better, because that allows us uh, to want to better ourselves, right? To get
Right.
on the top of the social hierarchy, but at the same time, somebody or someone can figure out ways to exploit that. There's always a probability of random chance that somebody's gonna accidentally finds a an opportunity to exploit something, and these are the threats of life,
Right.
right? And I
Yep.
think that's what you got. And like I said, everybody's gonna have them, and it's very hard. I don't think, like I told you, I still don't know what I would tell my younger self to be less stupid. I just can't. Right? He's gonna do what he wants to do, and
That's a good point.
there's no way I
Man,
can make. Man, I think if I have a time machine, I probably cannot change my future.
I don't think you can either, actually, because like it's
If the only thing I can do is talk to my younger self, if I go back in time machine, go back into the past and talk to my, that's the only thing I can do
man,
without disrupting the thread of history, right? The only thing I can do is talk to him, right? I would I would not have changed a future a single bit because he won't listen to me.
I could have I can envision myself walking back into the casino that same night I was telling you about that I was with my friend Adam
Mm-hmm.
and walking up to myself at the tables and been like, try to give myself whatever lessons I wanted to give myself. And I would have said, I'll fucking figure it out. Get out of my face. Like I got this. Like, like get the fuck away from me. Like I would have been like, I don't care about your advice right this moment. Like I'm doing what I'm doing and I'll figure it out. Like and I think that's life though. Like I mean I did figure it out, right? Like I mean I don't I'm lucky that I figured this one out. I don't know that I even fully solved it. I just kind of dumb lucked quit it,
Sometimes
like
you just dumb
sometimes
luck
it's
out
dumb
of
luck.
it,
Yeah, right. Like
right?
I mean it was just like one of those things where I mean,
I mean, some
yeah,
fish do get away from the hook. I mean,
right. And I got away from the hook on this one,
and then you
like
go, you ask the fish, how did you get out of the hook?
I don't know.
It's
I really
like, no,
don't. Like I mean,
you
yeah,
do this, you do that. It's like bullshit.
yeah. I, I,
It's dumb
oh,
luck you get out
actually,
of it.
what a big turning point was? Actually, this is I totally forgot about this until you just said that. I think that actually this is actually the answer. To be honest with you, there was a black swan event that happened. Do you know what it was? And it happened. It wasn't just. It didn't just happen to me, but it was a black swan event that happened to the whole world of poker. Do you know what it was?
No, I'm not familiar with poker.
So I graduated college
Mm-hmm.
in 2006, in December of 2006. January of 2007, I moved up to South Bend.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was um, 2000, either late 2007 or early
Mm-hmm.
2008, that the federal government put a
Crack down
ban
on.
on online gambling. I think they literally froze. They
Mm-hmm.
so full tilt poker.
Yeah, it's still random chance, but it was aided by the universe. Just imagine a fisherman
Oh,
casting his
dude.
reel, and then suddenly the rain and get distracted, and then for some reason the fish got loose. But
So there was there, there was uh at one point in time in my full tilt poker account, I think I had like a $17,000 bankroll in there.
Mhm,
And this is like as like a 22-year-old, 23-year-old. And I'm not like from a wealthy family, right? Like my family's upper middle class or something. It's not like they're giving me, it's not like it's not like they were like, hey, Chris, here's $25,000. Go do whatever you want to go do with, and call me if you need anything more. And I'm like, that's not how my family is, right? It
mhm,
was that was my money that I earned playing poker, and that was
mhm,
basically my bank account, right? And
right.
the federal government, we got an like just one day, Full Tilt just stopped working. There was another site called Poker Stars, I think, or something like that, just stopped
Mhm,
working. Every US based um, uh, uh, poker site was shut down overnight, and then they froze everybody's assets. So there were people that had millions of dollars on these sites that they played with all the time, with like big time
mhm,
poker pros.
mhm,
That the federal government froze their assets. I think I had like $1,200 that they froze on my account at that time.
mhm.
When they froze it, and I didn't get it back until it was like years later. It was like I want to say it was probably 2 years later. When they finally started to release funds from these places. In the meantime, when that happened, like I hadn't stopped gambling. I went to every fucking possible site you could ever fucking imagine to try to figure out where I could continue to play online poker at. I could not figure it out. There was this place called
You got
Bodog.
weaned by the universe.
Dude, it was horrible because it was all these offshore poker sites started popping up
Mhm,
that, but they were so sketchy and like it was hard to get money. This is before the days of like, everything was like is PayPal or Venmo or whatever. Like it was
mhm,
hard to get money out of your bank account onto these fucking sites, these foreign sites, and
mhm.
and to figure out how to make it work. And then like your credit card like would shut it down, all the time.
Yeah.
Like your debit, your Chase card would be like, nope, sorry, like these accounts have been flagged for blah blah blah. Like I'm not gonna. It was almost impossible for me to get fucking money onto these goddamn sites to even play. So that was why I started going to the casino more
Mhm,
often, because I was like, well, I can't play online anymore. Like I got to go
mhm.
to the casino now. That was exactly why I started going to the casino more often. Now I totally forgot about that. Like the
So you
fuck,
lucked out.
I did luck out. And like, I mean, I couldn't go every day. I couldn't just come home and start playing poker, like that was
Mhm,
what that's what I loved to do. It was like, hey, come home, start playing, go load up a tournament, go to a cash game, do whatever I got to
See,
do.
the
Like
government is watching, is looking out for you. So don't say the government is not.
that's true. I mean, you're right. Like
Don't go and bashing all the government and corruption, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, but there's two good people.
That's funny. There was like a particular day. No, it wasn't 2011. Was it 2011? No, I was still in South Bend when that happened. Remembering Black Friday, the day the government. Oh, this is from 2020. Wait. By 2011. Oh, it was 2006. That's what it was. Yeah. So it was 2007 or so. I just remember it was like right after I'd graduated from college, and it was like, shut the fuck down. Like I was like, oh no, this is the old Full Tilt site. Oh my god, this is giving me Phil Ivey. Oh, he's another poker star. Phil Ivey was like he's like the Tiger Woods of
Poker.
The poker. He's a black dude, but he's like super stoic, and he's like really analytical, and he's like young.
He's
but he's
philosopher.
He's cool. He's cool. He's like cool. Like I mean, Phil Ivey is just like cool. The other guy that was like super famous. He's like this is him back when he was young. But yeah, he was just like the cool young black dude. It was like Tiger Woods of whatever. The other guy that everybody loved was Phil Hellmuth. They called him the poker brat. This dude was the biggest jackass that I've ever fucking seen in my entire life when he played poker. He was at one point in time, I think, the youngest World Series of Poker winner. And anytime that he would lose a hand, every time that he would lose a hand, he would just stand up from the table and be like, "You're fucking garbage. You're a piece of shit trash. If this game was just about people having skills in poker, like I would never fucking lose. You're a fucking piece of shit. Like you're just the luckiest piece of shit that I've ever fought." He would just go on these like tangents every fucking hand that he lost. He was just like the biggest dickhead ever. I mean, it was like poker players, man. Talk about a world of fucking weird world. Like like poker players are like just a breed all themselves, man. All right, that's all. I promise everybody, I will not talk about poker for any time in the future. That was back-to-back episodes of that.
Unless you read the book Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke.
Didn't I read?
Did you read that one?
I did read that. I don't remember it. I would remember it if I did, but I thought I know I definitely saved it. Hang on, let me check. I feel like I did that though. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. I think, like I said, like you said, Annie uses psychology and uses the concept of poker to draw out the concept that you can use in life as well, thinking in bets, right?
I have this. It's in my library. I
So
thought
you don't have a reflection on it?
I don't know. Hang on. I feel like I know I read this book. I for whatever reason it's not coming to mind right off the top of my head. Hang on a second. I remember you telling me about it, and I feel like I read it because I was like, "Oh, this quit book was awesome." Yeah, it is. That's Reflection 379. I did do that book. Yeah, I don't remember that at all. Yeah.
So that means that you would talk about it again.
Damn it, you're right. Resulting. That was my reflection from that one. Oh no, God, it does talk. This reflection it says, when I was a teenager, the poker explosion in America was in full swing, and I was obsessed. It seemed like poker was everywhere in my world. ESPN was so much. God damn it, man! I even have the story about Johnny freaking Chan in here. It says,
Johnny
"Oh my God,
Chan."
Yeah, I gotta show this to you. God, I'm wasting all my good stories. It was like, I had all the people. Phil Hellmuth, the poker brat, Phil Ivey, the Tiger Woods, Howard Lederer, the professor, Doyle Brunson, the legend, Dan Negreanu, Greg Raymer, the fossil man, Eric Seidel, and Johnny freaking Chan, and then I even told the story of Felicia in Vegas, and I was like, "This Johnny freaking Chan." Anyway,
well, we shall revisit poker again.
All right. Well, anyway, thanks for joining. Oh wait, the question for the night. Any final thoughts from you?
No, I think we have pokered out.
Nice. All right. So
It's time to
question we
quit.
can, yeah, it is. It is. The expected value of the rest of this conversation is not good. So the question is that we can give to everybody is the expected value of your next action that you are taking toward your purpose or away from it. You know, so yeah, something to think about.
Yeah, do you feel worse or you feel better? Right? That's let your core value guide you.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining. And I can promise you, and I can say that the expected value of this conversation is always good. I promise you. Like I don't think I've ever gone into this conversation, you know, thinking that that this did not align to, you know, wasn't something that I expected value out of, and I received it. You know, so thank you, True, for your contribution and conversations over all these years. So
It's a two-way street, man. So
agreed. Awesome. All right. Thanks for joining, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
see you.